a bit of a workshop, a bit of an overview of how the coffee process works. I have a popcorn popper that I've modified that I then dodgily hooked up to my extraction of my proper roaster. It works, but it's kind of dodgy. But anyway, it'll get through the night. I have already set one on fire today, but I have a bunch of spares in case that happens. But don't worry, I have a fire extinguisher down here.
That's the main thing.
It should be right. It should be right. So we're going to go through a couple of different things. It's as you've kind of already started to realise, there's so much complication in how coffee has, and so we're going to go as a brief overview on how to kind of go through it. I'll go through. We'll go through a couple of test roasts, and you can kind of see how we would roast if we're roasting on a big one. Big one's going to take 12 to 14 minutes. This thing's crazy overpowered because it's in the Gold Coast kind of died in the past couple of years, and we're really keen to kind of get people around coffee and having fun. Jesse's here with his roaster. We're going to muck around with that at the end and roast some ridiculous coffee, which is going to be exciting. We're also a wholesaler. We supply coffee to cafes. If anybody's looking for coffee, come and see the giant guy in the corner. Set up. No, for sure. Actually, on the back of this, we have a YouTube channel that we've been releasing different tutorials on. If you could subscribe, that would be amazing. We've also got online courses for roasting and for baristing courses that were made up years ago. If you use this code here, it's 50% off. We'll take you through, have a look. Any questions? Good. Okay, green coffees. It's a seeded fruit, yeah, so it grows inside of a coffee cherry. They grow together, kind of like this, which is why one side's rounded and the other side's flat. So it kind of puffs around, unless you get something like this, which is a pea berry, which is maybe 10% of the coffee produces a pea berry, where only one grows inside of it. Depending on where it's from, sometimes I'll separate these and they sell as a bundle of blocks, a lot of flavour in them. Sometimes they're kind of a bit of a letdown. Seeded tree, picking and processing coffee is often hand-picked, especially for stuff. Like, you can mechanically harvest it. The problem is you've got a branch. On that branch you've got underripe, ripe and overripe cherries. Mechanical harvester can't check the colouring and pick it off, so it's just usually hand-picked. And then if you're addicted to it, it's on such a slow slope, there's no way to hit machinery up and down there. As we were talking earlier about processing techniques, traditionally, if we reverse 10 years, we only really had to worry about washed, honey, and natural. Now, as we can see, we have all this fermentation, which is making coffee super exciting. It also just means we have a lot more on our end, and it's a little bit more complicated, which is cool. So natural process is generally that the cherries are picked off, the seed stays aside, and it gets taken out and the cherries laid up. Washed is a little bit more complicated, where it gets picked and then fermented, sorry, pulped and then fermented, which means that usually if it comes straight off the tree and they pulp it, it's still got a lot of mucilage on it, kind of like a mango pit, has stuff all over it, and so they ferment it for a couple of days to get that off, and then they basically just flush it with water to get all of the rest of it off, and then they lay it out to dry, just washed. Honey's a little bit different, where actually the coffee, this Costa Rica, the one that we had just before, was honey processed. Where they, instead of fermenting it to get the mucilage off, they dry it in the mucilage. It has a bit of risk because of the mold, but often they use it in countries with poor water and stuff like that. You don't actually really want to produce it, so it helps them to be able to get a bit more for the crop. Fermentation. Any question? That was such a quick overview. Like, I could do like 6 weeks on that. But do you have any questions about the green coffee? Usually coffee will get graded between 1 and 100. Usually 80 and above is considered specialty coffee. And so we will normally use, so this actually sits at about 81 points. So we'll use, and this makes the base of our house blend, so we'll sit at 80 plus and then we use 80 plus. Some roasters will pop in and out, some won't even come close to specialty, because it's a bit more expensive, just depending on the roaster. Questions?
What's the, I've seen A grade and the double A grades. Is that the same for you, just in
Sizes. Sizing? Yeah, you can also get screen sizes, like 16, 17, 18. Kind of like how they sift flour. Tip it at the top of the thing, and they sift it, and it separates the different sizes. It's a similar thing with this. Depending on the origin, some can say that the bigger the bean, that's better the quality, the smaller things fall the quality. It just depends where you're from. Yeah, that's more, that can be a quality indicator. Yeah. But coffee's like this thing, I've got it written down. Coffee's wonderful but frustrating. so like, what happens with coffee is that there's all these different countries producing sometimes the same thing that's called something different, sometimes a different thing called the same thing. And so you've got to figure out where it's coming from to figure out what they're actually meaning, and then you need to interpret it into what you're doing. And I find with coffee as well, with roasting and with roastering, is that nothing's perfect. It's like you're choosing the best out of not the best choices in order to achieve something. So like as an example, if you see Mitch playing around with your coffee earlier, in order to make your Costa Rica, he's distributing it and he's using a WCS thing we can't do that with every single coffee because it just takes so long. It makes it better, but it just takes so long. And the person getting a caramel latte in the morning is just like, I've got to go. So like, we're just choosing speed in one sense. So it's one of those things where you always have to sacrifice something to achieve something in coffee. I find that true for baristering, through roasting, through green selection, through processing. There always seems to be this compromise. I'm going to move on to roasting. Okay, roasters, right? There's all these different types of roasters. We kind of put them into two separate categories. More, but for simplicity's sake, we'll put them into two. We've got drum roasters and we've got air roasters. This, yep, a drum and an air roaster. This would be considered the air roaster. It's got air circulating the beans around and it's moving. Where a drum roaster is, just pretend this is a drum, this thing rotates and gets hot, basically. Think air fryer versus a frying pan. It's so simplistic. We'll just run with that for now. So two different types. Traditionally, your drum roasters are better. I'm going to say better in brackets because now air roasters are coming through and doing some really cool things. I think we didn't really know how to roast with air a while ago. And now we're figuring out, we're getting some really, like I used to be absolutely detest air roasters. And like it's still in me a little bit, but realistically I've had some great coffee come through an air roaster. It's kind of changing a little bit. Where this roaster, for an example, has a huge amount of cast iron, so the thermal stability is really the same. Where after the second roast of the day, we can roast coffee batch to batch to batch, 18 batches in a row, and it's always going to be very similar to each other. It's also got computer automation to control the profiles and those kind of things. Which is, I'll kind of show you this and try and equate it to that as we're doing it, even though it's going to be a little bit different. When we roast our coffee, a whole bunch of things happen. I've got like this whole document I wrote on like the chemical processes that happen during roasting. Mainly, to dumb it down, we're caramelizing the sugars. Yeah, we're trying to caramelize it in the right amount. If you do it too little, it's not going to be enough. If you do it too much, it's going to taste either like hay or like teriyaki beef. So we're trying to hit it in the middle somewhere where it's caramelized and sweet and getting the right thing out of it. There is variability within that. There's like, similar to extraction, we've got an 18 to 22% window that we're going to extract out. And within that, it can taste differently. It's similar with roasting, I think, is that we can caramelize it low, we can caramelize it high. It's still going to be good, but it's going to bring different things out in the coffee depending on how they caramelize. Any questions?
Sorry,
yeah.
Is that a Maillard reaction? Because the Maillard is not caramelizing cheese.
No, Maillard, it's enzymatic browning without, that can be done with heat or without heat. An apple going brown, yeah, that's not caramelization, that's Maillard reaction. Caramelization requires heat. Yeah, like when it's so complicated as it is. When I'm doing it, I'm trying to really think about how I'm caramelizing it and making sure that it's gonna caramelize all the way through. You know, because when we look at coffee, we want to make sure it's roasted all the way through. When we crack them open, you can have a look kind of on these things. We want to make sure that you can't have coffee beans like steak. Medium rare with coffee is just not going to work. It has to be cooked all the way through, and you'll find when we cup this coffee later, this is underdeveloped. It's going to have a real sourness and a hay coming through where it hasn't been caramelized enough. And then when you go to this end, there's not a lot of the coffee that you can actually taste anymore. And so here at First Roots, we roast the coffee really light. I'll show you. The way that I look at it, it's hard because some people like it quite dark. The reason that we roast coffee light is because I want to make it drinkable. You can't drink green coffee, like it's just, you can't grind it, you can't extract it, or it just doesn't work. It has to be roasted. All of those chemical reactions need to take place in order for it to be drinkable and be palatable. We roast it lighter because, as you can see on the wall with the coffee farmers, we want to show you what the farmers have done to their coffee, right? And so, like this, you know, it's a seed of a fruit. If you roast it correctly, when you extract it correctly, you can taste what the fruit used to taste like. Which is, you know, these farmers may have been on their farm for generations. I've had it for an hour. I've been playing around with it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to show you what they're doing to it. Where if we roast here, you can't really taste what it used to taste like. All you can taste is what the roaster has done to it. So the oil has seeped to the outside and burnt on the drum and coated it with burnt oil. And so we're trying to not do that because we want to showcase what these guys are doing. It's kind of why we roast coffee so lightly. As well as we really like as you move away from like a darker roast, we find like you can't go back to it. Like it was something in the beginning, and a lot of the time I think a dark roast needs to be fixed through something sweet. And so you'll often find the chains that run dark roast will often sell you a syrup or something like that in order to fix the bitterness and to fix the things. Where we can actually roast it properly and put it in, you don't need the sugar to fix the bitterness. It's going to come through really nice and sweet. And that'll also come through our bean selection. So it really depends on how we purchase and roast in order to pound what we do. And you'll taste this later. And we can even do a blind, and I'll also put in coffee that we've roasted properly on our, right, that Mai's roasted, this is Mai, she's our roaster, that Mai's roasted on our proper roaster. And you can see the differences that it's really hard to replicate on a popcorn popper, which is what I did today with a vacuum trying to catch all the chaff. It's ridiculous. So when we roast it, it's going to increase in size. So technically, this coffee is going to it's going to be bigger than this coffee. This coffee is going to be lighter in terms of how much it weighs than this coffee. There's a lot more moisture still left in this end, where there's a lot less moisture left in this end. So first crack is something we're going to talk about. So you'll hear it. We're only roasting 90 grams on this. It's going to happen really quickly and early, and it's not all going to happen at the same time, which is, it's a mix of all the beans aren't getting to the same temperature at the right time because we're using something that's not designed for roasting. But like in the machine, when we have first crack, there's a couple of cracks that will happen earlier, but then usually you hear this da, 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 and it's like this crescendo starts. That's what we mark first crack, and we actually use that time reading in order to determine when we'll stop the roast.
So you measure when the like cascade flows cracks like the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, there's some tease ones that make it the trickier.
Yeah.
So normally I would indicate like 3 in succession as first crack. So da, 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 and then you kind of hear this da, 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 and it'll start to go. Yeah. You'll hear it in this, but it'll happen early. Yeah. We'll actually take it all the way through to that second crack and plus, which actually super interestingly, I've never seen it before because I've never roasted this stuff in a popcorn pot. But you see those little black things everywhere?
Yeah.
It was throwing parts of the bean out. So the second crack was so violent, it was separating small amounts of it. It was like coming out everywhere. And I was like, it was vacuum on a trail. Like, anyway, but you'll see it. We'll see it today. We'll let it go. Hilarious. Okay, so heat application. Usually when we roast, so the older school style of roasting was, they kind of, when I got taught, we used the soaking method of heat, which means that we, actually, you know what, if you skip to the middle part of your book, there's a diagram, which is so non-sequitur, sorry if you can't read it. So what I haven't got on there is how to apply the heat, right? When I got taught, we would bring the roaster up to charge temperature, which is about 200 and something degrees, and then we'd drop the coffee in. The heat was still on quite low. The coffee would plummet because it's a room temperature, coffee entering a hot environment, it'll plummet. It gets to a point called the turning point, which the roaster's now taken over and it's able to start increasing the temperature. And then it would go up. Usually then you would apply the heat and you would keep on going. That's how I roasted for quite a number of years. We don't actually do that much anymore. The way I think about roasting now is that in its less roasted state, it's less susceptible to roasting defects that can occur by too much heat. So when I roast, I often apply a lot of heat early and then reduce the heat as I go in order to penetrate the heat into the thing. We want it to be penetrated all the way in. We don't want medium rare. And then I lower it towards the end to make sure caramelization occurs, as well as if there's too much heat later, it'll start to scorch and there's roasting defects that can come from that kind of thing. Any questions on that?
Is that what I tasted when I said what you served me when I came in? I haven't tasted coffee as good as that, but I've never seen.
No,
The lights are roast?
yes. Yeah. There's a lot more acidity that comes through. I can actually roast that out, but I found that people really like it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's
Really?
right. Yeah, so we maintain a higher acidity in there. Often it will pair well with different things. Like as an example, we had a Kenyan coffee a few years ago, had a really prominent apple flavor. We actually extracted it and roasted it in a way to increase the acidity, to pair it really well with the apple flavor. Or like with our house blend, we actually tried to lower the acidity a lot more because it's going to go into milk. And sometimes it can come through a bit sour if it's true. Yeah.
So the acidity is mostly because it's been taken out, or the heat's been taken off earlier, rather than say.
I would say it's a bit low. It's so complicated,
Yeah, right. It's
and so like my vague answer
Yeah,
is kind of.
it's okay.
So like, yeah, kind of, right? So we can roast it out and extract it out by changing our extraction percentages and changing our roasting caramelization percentages. Yeah. Which I don't know if that means.
No, it's a hard question, a weird question with it. Yeah.
No, beautiful. Any more questions?
A quick one.
Mm-hmm.
So air roasting and drum roasting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a constant difference in characteristics? Is there something that you?
I used to find that I couldn't caramelize as well in an air roaster, and I also found sometimes I'll have a lack of flavour. But the thing is, I'm really not the person to ask about air roasting. Like I haven't roasted it on many large scale things. I prefer this because, have you had much experience with air roasters? What do you think?
Air roasting is very good for consistency because you're having even application of heat. Drum roasting, you have to have a lot more finesse and have to overclock a lot more because you're having conductive heat, not just the convection heat. And then there's hybrid roasters as well. So currently we're using hybrid roaster at work. So it's actually a drum roaster, but instead of contact heat with the drum, it's hot air blowing through the drum.
Use that term again,
Hybrid. So you've got a hybrid, yeah. So you've got pure air roasting, pure drum roasting, and then you've got hybrid roasting as well. And that's kind of the best of both worlds because you're getting the conductive heat and the convection heat. Yeah, I roasted the Zarethas for a few years, and that was just air roasting. like large scale air roasting, 50 kilos in 12 minutes. That's how quick the roasts are. Like it's that quick. It's very quick, and air roasting is very quick in and of itself. It does dry out the bean a lot more, and you have to be careful with not too much airflow, or you would damage the bean racket. Like Dan was saying, when it was getting close to second rack, it was actually breaking. It was chipping the beans and breaking them apart, and then you're destroying the cellular structure. You get more sweetness out of a drum roaster, more body out of an air roaster. And there's benefits and challenges to both methods.
Okay. Thank you. That's interesting. Single origins. Okay, I did touch on it a little bit earlier, but if you have a look at the diagram, charge temperature, which is the top. So this is called S-curve roasting, right? Which is also not true, because if it wasn't S, it would actually be horrendous because it would drop the temperature. But like we've got the charge, temperature, which is what we're going to heat the drum to before we drop the coffee in. It's going to plummet to turning point. And so these are all the points that we'll mark when we do our roast later, which is not going to really work, but when we do it in this, we're going to mark. We'll always mark those times. As well as first crack, because it's more of a sound, and then our end time and temperature. There are two Paul Scott Rao developed some golden rules around roasting. We actually broke a bunch of it apart. Because it's a little bit old school, but it's a fantastic guide. So he developed I think he developed it in published it, so he might have. The time between the first crack and the end of the roast. His method is between 20 and 25 for the entire roast period. So when roasters talk about development, they're not actually talking about development all the way through. They're talking about the time from the first crack to the end of the roast. Talking about development time. Usually it's a percentage. As an example, our crowd pleaser blend is at 19%, so we kind of break it a little bit anyway, where it's a little bit lighter. And then we have a CP plus, which is for our wholesale accounts, which is a little bit darker, and that's 21-ish %. Where for an industry standard, it's very light. I couldn't replicate that exactly in the air roaster. You kind of like have a bit of a go, because I couldn't actually determine what first crack was. So we listened to it, and you can figure it out. And you can put your hand up or time down to the time and everything. And so we'll use those points. The other thing we're going to do when we roast the coffee is that on a bigger roaster, it's going to take 14 minutes or so, depending on the roast to roast the coffee. We want to figure out what our rate of rise is. So how many degrees per minute is increasing in temperature? What his method was from the turning point heights. So from that point, the temperature has to continually increase. It can't drop. But the rate that it's increasing needs to be continually decreasing. Yeah. So our rate of rise may start at 16 degrees per minute, which is why the burner 100% is going for it. And then the next one 15, the next one 14 degrees per minute. It's dropping, but it's still increasing in temperature, but the rate is decreasing. To the point where I often have like a roast where it's gone through each minute, I've recorded it, and then we've got to the end and I've pulled it out, and it's gone at like 1 degree per minute, and we're like, which is like one of those things, even though it's computerized as well, it's so difficult to kind of understand this. Coffee is amazing but frustrating. Any questions on that? No? Okay, I need a volunteer. Yes. You. Okay, this is the border. So you are going to be putting it in here while it's roasting. So we're going to record it. Does anyone know? I do not know.
I've got there's
we've got the coffee commune.
coffee pants. Everyone gets a pan.
Brand new coffee commune. Coffee and wrap up. This one's for you. This one I'm going to have today.
They're actually not ten. They're not really long.
Coffee commune, gentlemen? Okay. Let's make sure I've covered all of my things. Okay, so on your booklet, I think on the last page inside, there's like 2 green lines. So, what we're going to do is every 30 seconds, we're going to record what the temperature is. It's going to be so hard to do this quickly, but like, Just find a spot to aim at, do the roasting, and just try and aim at the same spot. Every time. Right? Well, yeah. Also, you're going to have to move it like 65 halfway. So the red is going to come in track. I'll also turn on we turn on our coffee roaster extraction. Yeah, it's alright, so this should now smoke chimney kind of working. So generally if we're roasting on a big roaster, it's currently whatever the degrees are inside, 20 something. But the heat up of a roaster is quite important, like it's going to be half an hour to heat up. First two roasts are actually not going to be exactly right. So we'll lower how much we put in for the first two roasts to account for the lack of thermal stability. Then from the third roast, especially on these roasters with big cast iron, we can cycle with each other even after 20 roasts at the end of the day. A lot of it is based on the machine, but then how we put coffee in and take it out. It's how we change over our coffee is also really important. So it's all timed, it's like a schedule. So as an example, say we're roasting our Crackley's blend, which is popping out at 210 at the moment. Crackley's at head temperature? 210. So if we're roasting our Crackley's at, I guess, 210 degrees and cool it out. It'll drop to temperature, it's open, under 90 degrees. The door will shut, it will go up to 200 degrees, so it's unburnt at 100%. 205 will go back in. So that's like a dance you get to do every time you stop the roaster out. It's all very much within a certain time.
You mean a dance?
Well, it's Myers now. And so that English batch protocol is very essential too. Because what we're doing, right, we do coffees like this, which is super fun. We don't sell hundreds of kilos of this coffee. Like, we love to drink it because it's exciting. But our blend, which we're putting in, which is the one on this side, is the hundreds of kilos of coffee that everyone's going to do, right? So consistency is incredibly important. We need it to be the same every time. It's a 5 kilo roaster. We will mix 3 batches together in order to, because any discrepancy between the batches, it's going to be hopefully evened out between the 3 batches which gets roasted. So it's all consistency based stuff. We're trying to replicate the same thing over and over again for the customer who comes into the store every day and she wants the same coffee every day. We're trying to do that by how we purchase, how we store the beans, how we roast them, what bags we stick them in when we send them. There's all these things that go in place in order to make sure that the customer, depending whether it's day 7 or day 10, still has coffee that tastes the same. You know, so it's something that it's difficult to achieve. We're thinking about that as we do it. Okay, so normally I heat it up to 200 degrees. It's an air roaster, this would happen in a couple of seconds if I did that. But what we're going to do is start with, here it is, 90 grams, putting 90 grams in. And then we're going to turn it on. I've got a timer, so we've got the pans ready. So I think, actually let me check my notes. I think I'm going to pull it out at 8 minutes. It's going to be gross. Mine's going to be 8 minutes. She's like, really? Again. Then what's going to happen is Maya's going to unplug it and go and throw it into the roasting tray to cool down, otherwise we'll set fire.
Okay.
No worries. So it's set fire, or burn itself. I did set fire to one today, but it wasn't all one. It should be fine. Are you ready?
Let's see how often.
Every 30 seconds. Okay. So on your graphs, write down 30 seconds. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to tell you first crack time. I'm going to tell you first crack temperature. So when I say first crack, do the temperature, set the temperature up. And then we're going to look at the end time and the end temperature. And then we're going to run it over before it passes on. Good?
Yeah, good.
Alright. We are going. Feel free to come around and have a look if you wanted to. I mean, if you don't get it every 30 seconds, like at the end of the day, what it's going to look like is it's slowly starting to spin now. As it gets closer and closer to the end, it's going to spin faster and faster and quicker because it's starting to lose a lot of its density and it's going to start bouncing around. You can actually hear the density difference when you actually spin up. If you look at the difference between that how the beat is sounding could really determine the difference. .6. So if I check that one real quickly. Well, I can do it just against the setup.
A little bit this way. Yeah.
126.8. It's already such a jump, right? Yeah. Like we're looking, we want to get, like in our big roaster, we're going to start off with 16 degrees per minute. By the end, we're looking at about 5 degrees per minute. This jumped 60 degrees in 30 seconds. That's quick. Yeah. 134.2. That's not. I don't think that's best crack, but it's such a small sample size. It could be.
You can always smell like bread. So it's like it's finishing the iron phase now, and it's now starting to be like
Smell the missing. It's very small. Smell the missing.
yeah, it's both. So you've got the smell of the sides.
195.8. So we're going to be hitting first crack like
There it is.
so it's coupled together. That's first crack. That time is 2 minutes 22. 197. So usually we will follow proper rules for 20%. We're going to stop it after about 3 minutes or something. We're going to take it to like 8 minutes, just so you can see it's not a real environment. First crack's never going to happen that quickly. We're never going to keep it in that long after first crack, but for the purposes of demonstration. Alright, we are now 181. It could be, like a breast of I'm doing. It's still going.
Yeah, it's all dropping low.
That's second crack.
Look at it. It's so difficult to play things. This has been my all day. I think some of it's second crack. I think some of it's first crack. It's just, if we're looking at, if we're looking at like consistency between things, like obviously this is the bottom end of consistency. We're going. I got it back in.
Yeah.
So this is where we're starting to have oil seep to the outside. Probably already happened. If it was on a traditional roast, this would be like 15, 16 on our roast. This is probably like 16, 17 minutes. Oil seeping to the outside, it's starting to kind of burn, and it's coating things.
Almost like you can smell a bit of that grease oil.
Oh yes, right. Yeah. Like you, yeah. what time we now? For 6 minutes. So we have to keep it in for 2 minutes. It's hard because we're.
How does it go from 2 to
Yeah, I think it's the laser. It's not actually. It's trying to measure a moving thing. You're gonna look at this and then Jesse's gonna reckon what we did it. Alright, 6 minutes 40. Could be a bad idea. Alright. So this is crazy dark. Like probably not a lot of roasters even nowadays will roast. What was Raffles behind? Did they have oil?
All Ethiopian natural stuff. So it's first rack satisfaction.
Jack. Dried coffee.
The silver seashell. Parchment. Rather parchment.
Alright, I'm going to attempt to call it in this. It's probably going to be a bad choice. We'll see. We'll see how we go. Alright, we're at 8 minutes. Our time is. Alright, temperature?
Set 160.
Okay.
164. Alright. Actually, it's almost dark to it. I think. So really when we're doing this commercially, the drying of, the cooling down of the coffee is important. This whole tray in the bottom of our roaster, which is the cooling tray, just sucks the air through. As well as it's still kind of producing smoke. Maybe? Maybe not now. It's still got a lot of heat. So on the smaller roasters, we can just use air to cool it. On bigger roasters, does your big one use evaporator?
The Raffles ones did, but not the Climax. It's a train.
Okay. So on like larger commercial roasteries, you can't cool coffee down quick enough with air on these giant roasters. They have evaporative cooling where it sprays with a bit of water. As soon as the water hits the bait, it turns into steam. It tries to cool it down as quick as possible. It's really effective at cooling it. It ages the coffee like crazy. So like it will simulate a week of aging for evaporative cooling.
Well, I mean, mix air roasting with evaporative cooling and you can serve it like 2 days later.
Yeah. Alright. It's still hot. Feel free to pass it around and have a look at it. So we're trying to get it under 40 degrees in 4 minutes. Commercially. This is what it's be. But you can still feel the heat that's retaining it. Like it's been out for a bit, it's still warm and hot. That's a good idea. Oh, the cooling tray. Thank you. Well done, Joe.
All this work.
Yeah, cool. Which, that's almost at any good what's happening in that thing, right? It's pulling air through it. It's trying to distract us.
So all you need is a pop
yeah, that's right. Actually, it's true. Like, I'm surprised it looks like that. To be honest, like that should be a lot darker.
It looks good.
I won't. It looks like it. Here's Amy. That's actually. Oh, here we go. They are. We can get yeah, it's just difficult because like it's hard to tell you what part of the roast it is. But it's probably like medium dark kind of roast. The other thing you can see is you have a look at the beans. See the silica on the end. That's a remnant of roast crack. It's got good beans, rocking. It's all built up texture inside. If you have a look at our single rodents, I haven't actually gone to first crack. It's very little of that things happen. Still some. It still needs to escape. You can eat it if you like.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
You know, taste it when you compare it to things.
Well, we'll cut some of that as well.
No, I mean, I'll eat the thing.
Any beans are good way. Not the green beans,
Yeah.
but yeah. You often see roasters just like when they're cut on.
Really? Wow.
Doesn't that give you like something? I'm probably gonna do like a really sweet
Not properly roasted, but green one is probably.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Yeah.
But it's roasted to avoid roasting the leaves on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually use like a sand cup. Only 20 years or something.
So you're really going to be able to taste the differences between this is all Colombian Supremo. It makes up 50% of our crown cheese blend. It should be chocolatey, caramelly, sweetness, low acidity. But we'll see what it actually is. It should be. I don't like eating it, but if I do put it in my mouth, I usually just break it and then put the seam on. You can normally get a good sense of like the sweetness on it and that kind of thing. The seam, I can put that in now. Yeah. I pretty good decent shape.
Yeah, but is that
Very, very good.
Yeah. Have you got doing it the same thing with this one? You'll be able to see the difference. There's going to be a lot harder smoke because it's a lot more dense. And you put it on the concrete bench. It splits out. There we go. This is the Ethiopian one. Just totally different. This guy rams on about it. He goes on and on and on about it.
I've always wanted one, but I'm like, I don't know.
Mitch absolutely loves machinery. This is like his dream machinery. So it's probably going to be pretty decent.
And Dad thinks I'm a bit of a dog.
That's like a nerd is called This is the one.
I do quite like the candy nuggets as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're pretty good. The purple or pink though, like that's the question. All the nerd rock.
So feel free
I'm
to
with
pick
you
up
on
and
that.
smell them. Try and keep them in order. So we don't
Yeah.
knock them out.
Coffee beans and nerd rock. Yeah.
So this it's shocking.
Sorry,
It's
baby.
So this is coffee cupping. This is how we test and evaluate coffee. There's so much movement on this period.
Yeah, second crack.
Isn't the second prep that's this thing?
Yeah,
It's so
that was
weird.
what was throwing stuff out. I think that was the stuff that was
It's
throwing
like
out. We was kind of probably like not.
You made me laugh.
It's a pour-over kind of crack. Yeah. Well, it depends on the crack. Like I can tell, like if I,
Take it from the name.
I can taste a little bit fine.
it's nice.
Growing
It's
up, what we would do.
That's you taking them back.
Oh, pungent.
You can tell what I mean though.
Yeah, that's why I
My
like it.
preference is best. Just something to point out is that the sound, so when I'm doing like dance, normal house like food, is you really hear the note of pushing to crush and break up the coffee. As we get darker and darker, the bean is a lot less dense, and so it's a lot less string on this note. So like, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a lot less strain on the motor. It's also going to generate a bit more stickiness. Because the oil's on the outside now, and it's going to be left. If you go past the commercial places that you see, have a look at the hoppers, and you'll see like the oil marks as the beans have kind of gone down. That's really reminiscent of like a dark oil stuff I've kind of seen going down.
So, can you tell me what I'm smelling?
So this is all of the Colombia. So this is a cinnamon light roast.
So it's the roasting which is selected to the cup. And
Yes.
it's the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine's the same.
Yeah.
So,
So I didn't finish explaining that. So we're cupping coffee. We evaluate the smell dry. We evaluate the smell wet, and then we taste it wet later. So we evaluated 3 separate parts, and that's how we develop the scores on how to score coffee. There's like a spider chart. That's what we're going to do. When you're drinking and smelling, you to start with.
it's teriyaki.
Teriyaki. Yeah.
It's teriyaki.
This is a really good
Oh my
over
goodness.
caramelization. It changes, right? Where it smells like beef. It's been over caramelized. This lighter one will smell a lot like hay. Are you okay? I reckon that would be good. Yeah, that's right. And this is the
I'm like right here. I'm just looking at
Yeah. So then when you smell that,
so it's 384 on.
when you finish filling, we'll start filling up with water. From that point, you won't be able to touch the cups just because the agitation will develop. It'll over-extract it a bit more. And so we'll start filling them up. At 4 minutes, what we're going to do is something called breaking the crust. Everyone will get a spoon, and we'll push the spoon through the water. The coffee will start to sink. Anything left on the top will scoop off. And then at about 9 minutes, we'll start to taste. Otherwise, you're burning up. from that, and then we can taste it as we continue. Like, these aren't going to be fun. This is going to be okay. Maybe we'll do it like that. Grab these and then maybe Costa Rica at the same time. It's going to be such a contrast between it. But it'll be fun just now.
Use all of these in the hot water.
Yeah, today. Yeah, I made all these in the popcorn. We're going to also cut the Costa Rica, which is just going to be so sweet in comparison to some of these. And then a house blend, which is probably sitting around this level. If I can actually tell in the popcorn as well. Yeah, I reckon it's alright. Maybe like a little bit lighter. Yeah, maybe a little bit lighter than that. And you'll be able to see the difference between a commercial roaster. So it's especially, you know, the top end of it, especially in terms of Costa Rica. Do we start pouring these?
Are you a fan of the when you break the crust, the smell? Do you notice it? I haven't been able to.
Storing the coffee, protocol, you smell it dry, you wait till you dry around. And then wet is cold.
Oh, sorry, the gooseneck? It gives us control. So when we're doing our pour over coffee, we can do these ones. Really get the control of where we want it to go.
What's that?
Yep. So as the water hits the coffee, you can see all the carbon dioxide starting to release. This is the degassing. In fresh coffee, there's a lot more carbon dioxide than in stuff that's been sitting there for a little while. Which is why when we make our filter coffee, we have a balloon with a small amount. It's like
Well, not the house. Is this the house one?
I'm not sure. I think that might actually be Costa Rica.
Oh, we're doing the
That's
house.
Costa Rica.
That's Costa Rica.
That's what we had, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright. And so you can immediately even see the colour. It's just incredible.
And so in an SCA cupping protocol, you'll have red lights.
Oh.
So you can't actually tell the difference in the colour.
Wow.
So you're cupping
You're blind. Yeah.
you don't have any preconception of what the flavours are going to be like based on the
That makes so much sense.
I mean, it would be good because then you know,
Vibes.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's as you see it, you
Yeah.
assume it.
and the correct snipping protocol is like a dog.
Yeah.
Intense, short smell. That's how you smell an SCA cupping.
Why is that?
Because you get the most intense. It's like when you're cupping, you really you're aspirating the liquid over your tongue, and you're getting olfactory sense. So you're trying to aspirate things as much as you can. So when you're snipping, you want as much going in a short amount of time as possible. So instead of just like a deep breath, short.
I'm learning so much.
Alright. We're not there yet. But you will get a go at breaking the crust. Sorry if you're mad. What's going to happen is you're going to dip, pretend this is full of coffee water, you're going to dip it in, and you're going to push it through 3 times. Yeah? You're going to break the crust across the top. And as you're doing it, you're going to be kind of like Jesse indicated, coming through. So I should have blown you. Experience for you. Breathing. Also, one of the things that I actually got taught when I was first going is I would actually breathe through my nose and my mouth at the same time, which is a similar thing to the other, activate on the back of your nasal airways. So we're pushing it through.
I think breathing through your mouth.
Yeah.
It takes a moment to get used to, but just go slow.
Especially with the dog style as well.
Yeah. I'm inhaling.
We're going to collapse.
labs.
No one would lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't smell it. I could smell that coffee when it was grinding, but now it's got so used to coffee.
So what we do, anytime we're putting a spoon into something, we're going to dip it through the hot water first, just to give it a bit of a wash and sanitize so we don't contaminate the coffees. As well as after you taste, what spoons do we have? So, we'll give everyone 2 spoons because we're in a post-COVID world, which means that we can't share. Sure, okay. We didn't do that, or pull the spoon thing. So back in the day, more into a bigger cup, everyone would just go in and have a taste and you want to coat the whole palate. Nowadays, usually the spoons that go into the cup, tip it onto your other spoon, so that there's no way of getting this is probably ready to go. Someone want to jump in and break the crust on this one? You can see that the coffee is so much more dense, it's already started to sink. Yeah, so it's starting to sink where this is so light, probably not much yours. But somebody jump in and start on this end. Actually, probably go for all of them, I reckon. Just jump on, sorry, I'm going to go that end, so you're probably going to get shafted with it. Yeah, so you can turn it around the other way. Yeah. So you can push through like that, yeah. But you kind of need to be smelling at the same time. I'll move those chairs out of the way. Oh, yeah, true. Oh, I think we just move that across the chairs.
Dark and nice.
That's the golden coffee. You know the little satchels that you get when you go to save someone? That's what that looks like.
Alright, we'll just break them once so don't go through the same one over and over again. I'll show you how to actually slurp it in a second. We're not slurping it because it's a bit too hot. Please don't open your mouths. Yes, sir.
We're all so excited to try that.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we are.
Yeah. So now the crust is broken on it, don't put your spoon in again. But feel free to go through and have a smell between them.
Yeah,
I think no one's broken that one. Having the smell. I want you to be thinking about sweetness and body. Give it a rating between 1 and 10. 1 being really good. You can go negative, actually. For the sake of this. So this is clearing the crust off the top. The first time I cupped, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't do this. I had all of the coffee grounds in my mouth. It was the worst.
Do you find you still get coffee ground out or do you not get it?
You shouldn't. Yeah. Actually, if you're watching my latest YouTube video, I basically use this method to make plunger.
Oh.
So if you have a look at it, I use a very similar method to what I'm doing now.
Just before, that's the last bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I actually scoop the crust off and then leave it for another 4 or 5 minutes.
6.
Oh, for sure.
4 and 6 on the top.
You scoop, oh,
4.
oh, okay.
Endings.
For sure. Mine's a little bit different. I don't actually do a glue. I just go straight in all the way to the top. Leave it for 4 minutes and then I scoop it all off like this. And then I leave it for another 6. Because the problem with plunger is the sediment.
So it's going to
And so we want the sediment to fall to the bottom, like we're waiting for this to be. So we're waiting for all the sediment to fall. It's also done some really cool things as well. Yeah, that's right. So you can do actually, if you would like to take the difference, this is pretty ready to have its crust through. Or is that the timer? No, don't touch it.
not like I went to a cupping the other night. Please don't ever do this. But I put my foot on the bottom of the table and I decrusted 40 coffees.
Oh,
In one go.
very good.
Oh, yeah. It's efficient.
It was also only $3
Oh,
of
that
liquid
was
left
coffee
in the cup
version. The
at Southlands.
Southland, yeah.
So is this heating or have you got these?
That's just eating.
Hmm?
I've gone too much.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Is this one an air roaster or a drum roaster?
It's a drum roaster. So it's literally a miniature version of this. It uses infrared elements. So energy adjustment is instant.
4 minutes. Have a go, breaking the crust on these. You can see the lightness as well. Like this crust looks like this crust, but this coffee was far more developed than this coffee.
And so they make an adjustment for these
Oh,
later.
rinse then break. Rinse then break. Feel free to break these. Okay, I'm going to taste these and show you how I'm doing it. It's the louder you slurp, the more important you are. But the whole point is to slurp loud. Don't worry about what I'm telling you not to do. You know, as you eat the soup, you want to be loud because you want it to coat your palate.
Yeah.
Yes, it's often fun watching the Cup Tasters Championships and hearing all of the championship people's slurps.
Yeah.
Some have
like-
whistles, some have like really loud,
thought you
short,
sneezed.
sharp, long top. It's so cool.
No, that's right. Yeah, don't be afraid of slurping. Alright, get in there.
So we use 2 spoons, sir?
Yeah, or you can use your cup. So use
Oh,
a
pour it
spoon
into
and
the
put it
cup.
in, Jan, and out of the cup. Or you can have another spoon if you want another spoon.
No.
There you go.
Wow.
Whoa.
Why did you try that one first?
Did you try that one at the end? I was like, I went to the middle.
You went to the middle.
I went from there to there and I regret my choices.
Yeah. I want you to think about this coffee as if it's going into milk. Yeah. We're not drinking this coffee black usually. Think about it in terms of milk. Once we brew it as espresso, the intensity it's going to bring, and then once we then tip 80% of the stuff on top of it, what it's then going to taste like. So think through sweetness, think through body. If you want to get a bit more complicated, you get a little bit balanced, which is the balance between that. Complexity, can you taste different flavors at different times? You can also look at if you're tasting a flavor note like caramel or chocolate, or this should have some chocolate notes. Should have some campfire vibes. It's a bit of trust.
Very, very scientific cupping lexicon, that one.
That's right.
That's kind of freezer.
Yeah. So it's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So
Well,
we're at
you
7
can
minutes.
have it.
It's got to be low.
Yeah.
I've only had this one.
So this coffee is kind of how this coffee is meant to taste. Yeah.
This is what a non-hot coffee
No, not so much. Yeah, proper one.
I mean, those mass 150 grams.
I'm not excited.
It is saying that at that end.
I just had that and went, oh no, this is bad.
Being honest, I did the same thing. I'm like, I think I'll just stop there.
Yeah.
But you guys don't get to stop there because you haven't tasted that.
Are we better off knowing what it tastes like?
That's
You know,
true.
it's
That's
that
true. Maybe at least once.
cost-benefit analysis.
Maybe at least once in your life, really know what it tastes like.
I've made really bad coffees before, so you know.
Without pleasure, you can't have pain. Without dark, you can't have light.
So we should have started that
You
end.
should try bad coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You get.
I haven't been able to go to like Starbucks or the Raptors though.
Hey, I won 6 golden bean bronze medals roasting Raptors coffee, so.
Really?
Wow. It showed like roasting properly and buying the correct green beans.
Wait, was it Zarappa's green beans? Yeah.
And that was
Oh, I'm just gonna
Aero
smash out this end.
Alright, well after you get to that end,
Just take a little less than that end.
No, you got the whole box.
yeah. Also, like, when it tasted it, like, think about what it'll taste like.
See, I think it's
Still not good, but not as great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've tasted.
Yeah. Absolutely. It probably would often it would sit in this.
Yeah, because like
It's probably still pretty rare you get stuff of this end.
yeah.
Like, look how black it is. Yeah, it's so hot.
Yeah. Is this one the?
This is crowd. Yeah, this is commercial roaster crowd pleaser coffee, which is 50% of this coffee.
Yeah.
So this is the base of this blend. So you can taste what it tastes like roasted properly. It is a blend, but it's still going to have it's going to have a balance there, which the other one lacks.
Yeah.
And then you taste this, and it's like entirely different again. You know what I mean? Like this is a showcase of its own.
Yeah, the sparkling water working again.
No, it's going to reverse osmosis in it now. My thing broke, and so I didn't want to pay it.
I think it's broken.
Oh, yes.
I hate my thing breaks.
Yeah.
But I got some good at least.
Absolutely. Actually, I'll keep Actually, what about your turn, right? The reverse, it's still feeling. Oh, yeah, it's still fire, right?
Yeah.
That's like a
Well,
yeah. Just like going with
Just take it.
Yeah.
So look at the difference between that,
Yeah.
right? Which is this, we've roasted these two, we've roasted to be drunk black. This is, it still tastes alright at milk. I often get disappointed when somebody orders it with milk, but but I still have people who have like, I had a friend who always gets lattes on a premium coffee. And I was like, bro, like, that sucks. And he's like, no, like, the flavors that come through are ridiculous. Like, and so he still enjoys it like that. And it has the same experience in his soy thing that I was getting like, but it's still the same experience. It's like, yeah. I've slowly tried to become less of a purist as I've been in coffee. So, because some of my purist tendencies are bad.
No, you're right.
That's right.
We haven't started.
Well, that basically brings us to the end. Just as going to jump on and do a roast down and show us physicals or machines. Do you have any questions for this side of stuff? No? Yep.
Only single origins you don't bring up to first. Only bring it up to first crack.
Us. So our single origins, we often roast, it's a different method. So this is before first crack, but this isn't during where we've been able to develop our coffee. Oh, I don't have it anymore. Where if you look at the color's a bit darker, it's a lot more pumped out. We've been able to develop it a lot earlier. So we've been able to stimulate chemical reactions that normally occur here. See how coffee it is?
Yeah.
So our single origins are this coffee, but this light.
Yeah.
That technique's would come out of the most flavor agreements and stuff like that, so that's a secret. kind of stuff. But then if you look at it, so it's all before first crack, it's really puffy. You know, the wrinkles have been puffed out, so it's been developed all the way through, which you can tell through the crack meat, which is one of the most tasted earlier. Yeah, it's different stuff. But usually your single origins from most places are going to be roasted probably similar to this for espresso. So the thing with this is that we have the same thing for espresso and filter, where normally people would roast separately, or they'll do an omni roast, which is kind of in the middle. Which, in my opinion, an omni roast is like it's too dark for filter, it's too light for espresso, so it's kind of suitable for either. Where this is suitable for both, but it's not actually an omni roast. I've simulated your reaction to give it light. It's totally different. It's like style.
Do you find cupping, you tend to cup coffee like as in other places you try it?
I read in wine there's like a thing, a term called a cellar palate, where like the winemaker only drinks his own wine. He doesn't actually know how it compares, and so I'll often try and drink other people's coffee, whether we go around town or anything like that, just to really actually understand what other people are doing. Otherwise, you just kind of get so. And we like to go to Stanford kind of regularly, and you can tell the people who have cellar palates because they've just developed and they've been drinking their own wine and haven't drunk anything else for years. They don't actually know how it compares and what's on trend and what the market's doing. And so I think it's really important to cut coffees like this so you can see what's happening, as well as other people's coffees. As a roaster, as a roaster. Yeah, Stanford. That way. Yep. 3 hours.
Why Stanford?
Oh, because it's the closest wine region. It's the closest wine region that we got. It shouldn't be there, it's in Queensland, but it snows, it's ridiculous.
There's some nice stuff on the Temporary Mountain too. Witches Falls.
Witches Falls, yeah, actually we stopped a lot of Witches Falls. They can't grow any of it up there though. All of Witches Falls stuff's all grown in Stanford, mostly. Or it was the previous year, Stanford Altria. And so they could. No worries, bro. Nice to meet you. Alright. Well, I'll be around anyway to see some questions. If it's not, ask Jesse, he'll know.
Just ask Jesse. Have any questions?
Ask Jesse.
Question marks, how dare you?
Where would you like our spoons?
I'll take them. I will be the spoon person. Does anybody want to take any of this home?
Receive spoons by take one home box, right? Spoons.
Spoons. Yeah.
Fresh things.
That's spoon bag.
Alright, so what we have here is just a mini version of that.
A longer development time.
Same sort of thing where
So
it
this
temperature,
very long
airflow, and drop speed. We choose our drop-in temp, so we get
that'll be
bounce. Well, and we'll see what we get out of that. We'll see, anywhere between 80 and 90, you'll be really happy. So generally, like, if you're roasting the same coffee over and over, you know what temperature you're going to drop it at. So when you coffee for the first time, you go, have I done this origin before? Have I done this processing method before? What's the thing similar to it? And then you can make an educated guess on what your turn temp's going to be for coffee. Taste it, throw it in, see how it goes.
This coffee tastes a little bit dark.
That's what they call it, yeah. So it's either for a commercial place to do some sample roasting. So me as a green bean supplier might send someone 100 grams of green beans and they'll do a sample with it. And then they'll taste it and they'll buy that. So they're safe and knowledge that they've tested it, it roasts how they want it to roast, and then they can transfer it to the style. And so this is a 200 gram roaster. I like to put it on the it's a kind of sweet spot.
How does it fit 200?
It doesn't.
Sorry, so you are put it back.
you can't open it up and pour it in.
Yeah, all over the place.
Whereas the bigger roasters, the 400 gram and the 1.2, they have
Yeah.
offers on top and it will fit.
Next week is the back.
Technically, it's like
This one has the LED light and you try it.
yeah.
Whereas the big roasters don't. And I was like, oh, please compare LEDs to your other roasters. Such a nice little
Really
picture.
functions like a large commercial roaster.
So had a jamming up, external steam, like with a big machine like that, you can hit go when you drop the beads in and it will start recording. With this one, you can program it so when you hit go, it'll go to an automatic energy level and it will set your end temperature as well. So at the moment I've got it set on 20% for when I charge, and that'll go over the nice soak. This one is going to put energy straight away.
One of the difficult things
I kind of like that process
is that
each to their own different roasters.
yeah.
And you try different things. Like you can sell coffees, several different ones, and find out what's best for that particular thing.
where it's going to go to.
And develop your own roasting.
So like,
Is this the
one roast,
one?
the specialty one that's one, everything.
This is this one
Okay.
from my friend Miguel. From his estate in Colombia. It's a single estate coffee. It's been 3 varietals here.
So we can try like a really long,
Beautiful. It's we've quoted at 85 grams for a single estate washed coffee. Blender. As a standard coffee, 85 is a super high score. And that was scored by a proper period rate. This coffee is so I've got my, they call it smoke, it's actually being drawn through. So generally I start on about 30 or 40, depending on the size. If I had 200 grams, I'm definitely starting on 40, just to get a bit more airflow. 30 seems quite nice, and then I don't go much over 60 the roast. So my goal for this roast is to gradually decrease my energy and gradually increase my airflow. And hopefully get a nice steady decline in AFRs. If not, then it's my fault, not the roaster's fault, because I know how, like, we've won the World Series on this roast. This one. This specific machine. Roasting this specific coffee. Yum, delicious. If we have time, we'll roast that. Yes. So this one we just put beans in. And that's it. That's our roast started. So generally on this one, I kind of like to let it soak go for about 35 to 45 seconds, and then I'll boost my temperature. Or you can start full temperature, full energy stroke. I just want to get that nice 80 to 90 down. So so we've got our bean temperature there, environmental temperature. Sorry, this one here. So it looks like we're going to be about 99 to 100 for an ounce. So that just tells me that we warmed it up really well. I probably could have started at 190 instead of 200, and then that would have brought that bounce temperature. It is. And first crack is like,
the cocoa bowl, right?
Yeah. But even that one's pretty hot, loud, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was a cyclone and multiple pumps. Yeah, like, but then it's always also like that.
Yeah.
and so if we have a look at our beans, we kind of want to see like a gentle rise and fall. We don't want it tossing around really fast, and we don't want it not rising and falling at all. Like you just see it sitting in the bottom doing this. Drum's feeding not nice enough. If it's like stuck to the edges too fast, so you just want to see it lift and fall, lift and fall.
So is that, how would you rate that in its speed? Is that too fast? Or?
That's kind of perfect. So we're going lift, fall, fall. can see the beans just at the top falling down. They're not being driven to the side.
Yeah.
And they're not being just sitting there.
So what's the green line?
The green line on here is our red rice. What I like to do on this one is about 145, which is about 10 degrees above our end of drying phase. I start backing off the energy and increasing the airflow just by little margins. And on this one, you can just do little adjustments all the time to get a really nice decline in rate of rise. Whereas a large roaster, you might actually do just a few adjustments throughout because of the thermal stability of like that bigger drum. And what I like calling yellow, like people call it yellow, I call it absence of green. So the end of drying is notified by the yellow. I call it the absence of green because it might look yellow on the outside, but if you have a look at the centre cut, there's still quite a strong presence of green. It's not finished the drying phase yet. So once all the green is gone, drying phase is ended, and that's when your Maillard reaction starts. You can see it's starting to get like a vibrant green colour to it now.
It's still a bit of green, but
Still quite green. 145.
so how is it measuring the bean total?
It's got a probe right here, which is in the beans.
Oh, that's right.
And then the environmental temperature probe's up here, the element.
Yeah.
It's going to stay pretty steady while roasted. Some roasters, depending on where the environmental temperature probe is, like you'll actually use the environmental temperature as a way of measuring how your roast is going to go.
Yeah.
This one, you can kind of ignore the environmental temperature. It's more about the energy going in. So there's still a little bit of green in there, but we're almost at yellow. And that's yellow down. We mark it as dry end. Let's increase the energy, up the smoke, get the airflow a little bit.
The absence of green. Oh yeah, okay.
Absence of green. And then, like sometimes you can miss the yellow phase.
Yeah.
And you look at it and it's already started browning and you're like, oh shit, I missed it. Because you kind of get a development ratio. So your drying phase, then your Maillard phase, and then first crack, development phase.
Is this record the first crack as well, or is it manually?
Yep, so you have to hit first crack on this one. I know the reversed automatically detects first crack through a microphone or something like that.
Fancy.
Very fancy. You can see we're browning now. Putting some Maillard now. And you'll hear first crack on this because it's so quiet as well. Like some bands are so loud, you're like, holy moly. It smells like marshmallows when you toast marshmallows. Really sort of browning of the sugars.
Yeah, definitely.
So they don't even got way too close to that.
You burn your nose a few times, and then you never do it again.
Yeah.
180, so I'm starting to get close to first.
Oh, you said that. Just what is the smoke again? Sorry.
It's the air.
Yeah.
That's with me adding the dryer out for so long, we had a drop in the rate of rise.
Yeah.
Typically, you run things like pointing out like that just to check it.
Yeah. Is this for all these?
That's the next thing. You can store all your recipes and you can load each other behind. You can run an auto roast as well. So we're going to follow the profile.
I was about to say, so one of the manual ones you would like what you want to set it and then it does the
Yeah. You can sort of start to hear a bit of rustling now. So we're getting close to first.
Yeah. Yeah. the
One,
cracks.
two. That's Eric. Eric Beans, random beans.
Yeah.
Just going, oh, we're early. Oh, just
Yeah.
That's the one. There you
And so an espresso roast 10 to 12 degrees above first crack. Filter roast 8 to 10, 7 to 10 degrees above first crack. Typically for cupping profiles, we only want to do like an 80% pop. It's very short, like 3 to 4 degrees above first crack. So we want enough energy still from our element at first to avoid a crash in rate of rise. Look at the beans, they're still a bit motley, still a little bit crinkly. You want them to smooth out a little bit from the espresso style roast.
How does it bring the air quality in?
Just through the front down, so it's got a vacuum basically
Yeah.
draw in the air through.
So fire to smoke is out.
Yeah.
So what temperature is that first crack? 194, so like 206-ish when we want to get it out. Start to see it's starting to smooth out a little bit as well. And generally like 18 to 20% for like a medium espresso.
Yes. We're about to take it.
Oh.
So first crack finished. Stop here. And then second crack will be quite loud when it comes. And it's very rapid. Second crack's a rapid crack. First crack's like dip, 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 dip. Second crack's like dip, 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 dip. It's really rapid.
Do you find the second crack you do that instead of
Filter roast is generally like 8 to 10% after first crack. Which is generally around between 6 and 10 degrees above the if you consider the rate of rise. And then you can, every roast you can save your curve, depending on if you like the curve or not. I'd probably say this one go, oh okay, I probably need a little bit more energy earlier at the start, so instead of 20%, so I might give it a little bit more, and I'm going to drop it in a lower temperature, so I can get a better bounce. And then obviously I make a few more adjustments throughout the roast. But you can see we've got like a trending decline in the rate of rise, and we've got a nice curve that's flattening out. And that's almost cool. Alright, we've got time to do it. That's like $90 a kilogram. This is $16 a kilogram. And then, some ashes and stuff which are hundreds.
That's the thing.
What's it worth to you?
Yeah. With the green coffee, because mostly we're only sold roughly per kilo. Like you can't get it 500 or because even the sample, you get 100 grams for a sample. Yeah.
Most grain bean supplies are only 50 to 100 grams of grain. You just request how much you want.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're probably 2 minutes schooling on this.
Okay.
So it's quite quick.
Same with the 1 kilo version.
Because then I've got double cans on.
Right.
Well, pretty nice and quick. So when that roast, we'll start eating. We're going to do this about first line.
Yes.
190. Start eating. Smoke back down. Roll it going to leave at 60. Just try a little bit more energy at the start.
Don't you have the winning coffee roast saved on here?
I do, yeah.
Let's do that.
There's probably 20 profiles.
Yeah.
One of them is my kind of.
I'm willing to take it.
You guys don't want to go first, like I
Some of these are mine, some of these are yours.
I think yours is the broken one.
Mine are dark. So you can compare that to the house blend. They're pretty similar on the same sort of color.
Do you find the chaff collector, like you find a bit of chaff still at the drum still? It's
It's always out. There's a little bit left on the beans, depending on whether it's a wash or a hack.
And do you find in like the fan, does that get a bit of chaff in there?
It does, yeah. But the fan just comes out. Yeah, you just
Really?
vacuum. So you get a bit of chaff on the bench.
Yeah.
But the fan is literally just a computer fan. So just goes straight through.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's good.
So typically I just vacuum it off every time I use it.
Yeah, cool. What was the
That was 22%. Oh, yeah, 20 or 21.5, something like that. Sorry, I got rid of it. 12 degrees. You know, first 22%.
It was 196 the first crack.
196 reverse.
What was your percentage feel you got in there?
Yes.
That's a lie!
It's in there somewhere. Alright, so we're back up to temperature. We'll just sit these in and away we go.
So which bit is this?
That's this Colombian.
Right.
So boring.
I love that.
Yeah. I could only run through it.
Acidity to it.
So have you tried the Ocala roaster?
I have an account.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah. So we do this for larger amounts. We use the Ocala, like we've got 10 samples to do for someone. The Ocala is just like repeat over and over and over again.
There's no Australian sell. Oh, there is an Australian seller.
There is, yes. Awesome. So we're going to have a 91, 92. So this one's a first crack. That's just you wait.
I mean, green coffee, it smells amazing, so this
seems to be like hungry.
It's easy when you talk.
yeah, it is easy.
was it 90 for a kilo? Green? $90. Sorry, it was used for a filter or for an espresso? Wouldn't it taste so much better?
It's a super dark flavor. It might be a bit too heavy for a filter. I mean, it always works, different styles and trying it, but it's a fantastic little coffee. And that's what it was used to win the World Roaster Championship.
Because that's the thing, because it gives that peach and cream.
Yeah. Yeah, peaches and cream, that's it. It's like a super interesting flavour profile. Peaches and cream. You've got chocolate in there, you've got the rose, you've got the stone fruits, that lot of lactic fermentation, flavour profile, the buttery texture. Stone fruits is just amazing. I think Anthony Douglas was like strawberries and cream he was getting from it in his roast profile. So it's like,
It's better now, isn't it?
Oh wow.
Behind there.
Yeah.
Stay behind there and get a smell from the exhaust.
Oh wow. There's a whole ballgame back here.
Alright, now I have to come over.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, the smell of roasted coffee is like the best.
I get one of these just to make my house smell good. The bonus of getting coffee inside.
This one, no, I have this in my sample roasting room, which is tiny. It's like the size of this bar. It's a tiny room. Like hours. It's a little dizzy.
Yeah.
But it's a good dizzy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh,
Wait till it gets first grade.
I'm awake for this. I know, right? Yeah.
This one's a little bit difficult to tell yellow on because of the level of fermentation.
Yeah.
So I usually call it at what typically a yellow drying phase is, which is about 156. So I just say 156 I'm calling it there.
So with the yellow phase over, what is the value of that?
Because then you get your percentages of how you plan your roast. So you kind of want your drying phase to be relatively quick, your caramelization phase to be a bit longer than that, and then your development phase has to do with filter, medium espresso, dark espresso, it's how to. So
From there, you want to try and back it
yeah, if you back it off enough during the roast, it will carry itself through after first crack.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough energy going through, it'll bake coffee and it'll be baggy and hay-like, bubbly.
That's after the caramelization.
So there is specific things that happen in my art. So you like your sweetness and your acidity, and then your flavour profile happens after in the top. Not yet. And because it's a wild fermentation, you'll get a few coming in early. And you can smell it now too. It's like it's really starting to caramelise. First crack is you start to smell some of the acid almost perceive it as like a vinegar style when you smell it, because you know. Whereas anything up to that, it's just a pleasant smell. First, it's really quite a violent smell. Delicious. Like all the best things in this world, delicious but violent. We're getting there.
Oh, it's good. No,
I love this coffee so much.
I'm ready.
It's not even
oh my god! Oh my god! Whoa. That's like, you don't smell that. Like, you don't smell that fruitiness from like normal coffee. That is very special. Keep losing soldiers. That's the second one.
Each one is very important.
Oh my god. This is what
You're missing out on first crack on the Sidra.
Oh, sorry, I'm coming.
Oh my god, man. It's just, you don't even have to smell it when you dry. Like,
Yeah.
That's a full salsa. Right?
That's insane, yeah. I've never like smelled this
Yeah.
when coffee is yeah. Like,
I love this program.
Yeah.
It also, with this machine, you also get artisan tea equipment. And I don't like this. I'm probably only going to do 16% development, but still intended for degrees. But because it's so Phoenician, like you don't want it to go too fast because it's already pre-cooked through the fermentation process. So the structure of the bean is already not damaged, but it's already been half cooked. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is darker than the other one.
So we've got a nice roast curve there, we've got a nice steady declining rate of rise, something that smells amazing.
This is getting better.
It's out there now. It's out in the drum.
Oh, so we're actually smelling the bean now. That's like, yeah, okay. I'll come right back out.
No, the fan's going up.
Okay, say nothing.
You know what, it actually tastes like this juice. This is what it seems to taste like. Real raspberry peach. Yeah. Is the espresso machine still on?
It's fresh though.
So, espresso is fantastic, you know, up to 8 hours after roast. And then your volatile compounds, your degassing, all that starts to really happen. And then it's not great for a few days. It's just, you know,
So
the flavours. Initially it's great for Australian brewers finals. One of our boys used it of a geisha. And it was spectacular at 8 hours. After 12 hours, the flavour started to fly off until about a week later, and then it started tasting not quite as vibrant as initial. So it was best at 8 hours after roast. So we actually took the Ikawa down to the competition and roasted on the day of hunt to the profile. And it's just, you know, the spectacular flavour.
So you experiment with this and then you use the
Well, this is going to be a different roast. This is going to be more like your drum style.
Yeah.
Because it is a drum.
Yeah.
The cow's an air roaster, so
Yeah.
it's going to be more like your popcorn. And you're going to do a roast in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But this takes, what do we have? So dry end at 4 minutes 40 and first crack at 8 minutes. And then after 9 minutes 30 was our full roast time.
Can we do espresso? Can we?
Yeah, everyone's face
So that came out, that came out 5 degrees cooler than that. So it was a little bit darker. That's just the first selection.
Yeah.
We've started with a darker colour. Yeah. So it comes out with a darker colour, even though it's not as come out the same temperature.
Wow.
Everyone's had one, I've had one.
Oh my god. Wow.
Maybe the best thing we put in there. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it
This is the aftertaste of
I didn't. I knew what I already had.
Now you want to
like, maybe we'll do some shots of that, just to go, hey, this is a plain wash. And then some shots of that and go, this is what you can get when you do a ridiculous
Do you
fermentation.
want to do like cupping style or get a spoon and slow espresso?
I reckon pull a couple of espressos and you can just, spoon.
Yeah.
Taste. Peach tea. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting
And it's interesting because Anthony done this got strawberries and cream out of it. That's whereas we got peach tea or that sort of flavour out of it. So different roasting styles, also different extraction styles. Water in Melbourne is very different to water in Sydney is very different to water in Brisbane. Are you filtering it? Are you putting it through reverse osmosis? Are you re-mineralising? So many factors.
What's your go-to preference over filter for
Oh, that's just made up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, that's a made up density.
okay.
I was like, quick, let's put a sticker on.
Oh wow, that's almost like Brazil though.
I don't think we have enough. Do you have a density reader here?
I can do a home job in the car.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough stations.
Oh, okay.
Do you still have the things I gave you?
I do, yeah, I do.
Because I've got some more here.
That was the thing, so I'm doing these courses on those, that was stickers. And then this one came up and I was like,
Yeah, just
well, I
want to see how that came out in a hot
No.
second crack. Yeah, through a second crack on the popcorn maker, you think? That might be a great program.
I suppose if we do it and we get it way outside of the scope density, then maybe we'll just put some water in.
So, Dan, it is important to know density of beans. because then you can choose an even roasted.
Density as in the moisture.
No, moisture content is another measurement. Generally beans, like good quality, well-dried beans will be 10.5 to 11.5% moisture content. Something from Sumatra, like a wet cold process, might be 12 to 13%, which is very high on moisture. Anything under 10% is too dry, like they've dried it a lot.
Maths times 5. 150 times 5. Anybody?
75.
Yeah, 750.
750. You did it.
So yeah, that
That
was,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So it's 710, 710 on here, 750.
So, high. Towards the lower end.
Again, probably because of the fermentation. Let's measure this one here for instance. It's a bigger bean too, so.
This isn't like a super accurate way to do this.
Yeah.
But this is the density meter is like $1,000. This cup is a lot less. Converting, I know this cup holds 200 grams of water, so I'm converting the density of the bean into a grams per litre mean. And the density helps us with roasting, especially with blending. So like when we're blending coffees, we can't blend densities that are too far out from each other. Otherwise, some of them will run quick and some of them will stop the other ones from developing. So when we blend, we actually have to choose what coffee to blend together, or we have to roast it first.
Blending is fun.
Do you blend off? Do you roast?
No, our roasting department just
Pre-blend.
a lot of berries, because when the coffee the coffee that they do there is not specialty grind roast. It's just standard blending. So standard cafe. It's just a very specialty places will blend most for the rest of the each origin settings and then blend because you get very specific flavor profiles out of that.
I've jumped back and forth for a long period of time.
I like green.
Yeah, I like it as well.
You get different things out of things, but you don't get
And I find like coffee that's been like I find the balance is a lot more in coffee that's been roasted together. But the interest and complexity does come out in post blending and stuff. But the thing is, our blends are almost always a production of coffee. It's a consistency sake.